Alright, so I'm going to do a review of Lady Death Origins. This was a comic sent to me by my friend Chris. Chris, thank you once again. And as always, well, I already said thank you. Anyway, so Lady Death. Lady Death is one of those characters that we all know about, but like it's like Spawn, where it's like, well, actually, it's not like Spawn. Lady Death is a character for a lot of comic readers, myself included, where it's like, yeah, this character's everywhere, but like nowhere at the same time, right? Like, did y'all know there was a Lady Death animated film back in like the 90s, 2000s? Right? Like, Lady Death is just one of those characters that is always around for, obvious reasons. There's no way to beat around the bush. Lady Death is a character that depends a lot on picture over story. Let's be real on that. So, Lady Death Origins, I can't fault it. Firstly, I can't fault it for being what it is. I cannot, in good conscience, fault it for being the story that it is. That it's very much like with Spawn, where in Spawn books, it's always picture over story, right? Like, it's always like picture over story. And you know, I've always said that like Spawn comics are like junk food, really, right? Like, I've always said that it's junk food comics. And that's kind of the way to explain like Lady Death books, where they're like junk food comics, where there's nothing really deep about it. There's no like deep introspective Eisner winner. This is not right. Like, this is in no way, shape, or form gonna be an Eisner winner book. Anyway, so let's dive right into this comic. So what is this particular Lady Death book about? Well, like I said, Lady Death Origins is about, well, her origin. But it's done in such a weird way because, like, this comic literally just has, like, her origin story, which has apparently been retconned a few times. So this is, I guess, the new version of it. Because they only talk about, when I say origins, they literally just have, like, her origin story told in a few pages, and that's it for the origins. The rest is like thrown you in the middle of this comic that makes you think, okay, this has been here the whole time? Alright. So, basically the story of Lady Death is that she was once a princess who had a father who actually was possessed by this evil sorcerer who kidnaps her mother and leaves her to die, and she makes a deal with a demon to save her soul and becomes Lady Death, and teams up and basically in the underworld she goes to the underworld. She's now Lady Death and teams up with two other beings, one named Worgoth, mind you, and I'm trying to remember the other one's name. The other character, some scantily clad magic user. That's the thing. The women in this comic do not wear a lot of clothing. I'm sure you've already guessed that. But yeah. So the story basically is just like 5 issues of the same thing over and over again. Because Worgoth and her other teacher, or Lady Death's other teacher, are basically betraying her without betraying her, but they're also saying, like, oh, she has to learn how to be a warrior. And at the same time, they're, like, making plans to, like, to teach her, and really just basically talk down to and mock her every 5 issues. Like, the whole comic is, oh, Worgoth has plans. Lady Death has plans. Lady Death gets betrayed by Worgoth, but Worgoth just turns around and goes, nah, it was like a new test, you know? It was a test to try to teach you something. So, and you're dumb for not following my directions. That's That's the whole fucking book. That's all it really is that's really all the comic is at the end of the day, is just Worgoth belittling Lady Death when she's supposed to be the main focus of the comic. So, yeah, again, for a comic called Lady Death Origin, the origin is kind of glossed over, and it's more about like Lady Death just looking hot and also like almost, you know, showing her tits in some pages. Or how many times can we show her boobs without showing her boobs? Like, basically try to just cock tease the entire male demographic audience, which this is for. Look, I'm not trying to belittle this book, because I understand that Lady Death does have a massive cult following. I'm well aware, and I'm not trying to, talk down to you, to any fans of Lady Death out there. I'm happy for you, as a fan of Spawn for all the wrong reasons, because I understand that Spawn is not an Eisner winner level book either. I love it because it's just a junk food book, and that's really what I think the beauty of Lady Death is, or other comics like Terra, Witch of the Black Rose. My friend Blue Goblin will tell you all about that book. But sometimes you just need a comic to just be what the cover is, just absolutely dumb fun, and I can't fault it for that. I cannot fault this book for that. But is Lady Death for me? I gotta say no. I gotta say, like, reading this book, I'm just not feeling it. So, Chris always says, be honest with these reviews. So, Lady Death for me, I do respect the fan base and all that, because I do know it has a massive cult following. But for me, it's just not working for me. Anyway, so if there's any Lady Death fans out there, let me know what you guys think. Other than that, Chris, thank you once again for the comic. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this review. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.